Yesterday, we have finished reading the Sutta of No Dogmas of Blind Belief. The other name for that sutta is called the Kalama Sutta because the sutta was addressed to the Kalamas. Today, we are going to read the visible origin and passing away of suffering. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at the town of the melons named Uruvela Kappa. Then Bhadraka the headman approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said to him, "It would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Blessed One would teach me about the origin and the passing away of suffering." Let's take a look at footnotes number 9. Gamani, the word suggests that he is a person of some prominence in the town. Yeah, Gamani. Which word? Gamani refers to here, the headman. Yeah. So maybe he's like some kind of a boss or business owner yeah, called Bhadraka. So he asked the Buddha this question. It would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Buddha would teach me about the origin and passing away of suffering. Next paragraph, Sister Shomei, would you like to read?
If headman, I were to teach you about the origin and passing away of suffering with reference to the past, saying, so it was in the past, perplexity and uncertainty about that might arise in you. If I were to teach you about the origin and the passing away of suffering with reference to the future, saying, so it will be in the future, perplexity and uncertainty about that might arise in you. Instead, headman, while I am sitting right here and you are sitting right there, I will teach you about the origin and the passing away of suffering. Listen and attend closely. I will speak. Yes, Venerable Sir, Bhadraka replied. The Blessed One said this. What do you think, headman? Are there any people in Uruvela Kappa on whose account sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair would arise in you if they were to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured? There are such people, Venerable Sir, but are there any people in Uruvela Kappa on whose account sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair would not arise in you in such an event? There are such people, Venerable Sir. Why is it, headman, that in relation to some people in Uruvela Kappa, sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair would arise in you if they were to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured, while in regard to others, they would not arise in you?
Okay, thanks, Sister Shomei. Let's take a look again. Let's step back a little bit. So here, the Buddha says, if I were to teach you about the origin and passing away of suffering, with reference to the past, so it was in the past. Yeah. So it might confuse this guy, Bhadraka the headman. Perplexity and uncertainty might arise in you. If the Buddha were to teach with reference to the future, it also might confuse him. Okay. So instead, the Buddha will teach him about the origin and passing away of suffering. Yeah. Probably without reference to the past and the future. Yeah, it applies here. Let me highlight this. Okay. And then the Buddha asked this question to Bhadraka, the headman. What do you think? Are there people, if they are executed, if they are imprisoned, if they are fined or censured, by the king at that time. Are they, if these people are executed, would you be, would you be sad, to put it simply? Would you be angry? Would you be dejected? Yeah. So this is the line. On whose account sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair will arise in you? Yeah. So the headman replied, yes, there are such people. Yeah. So in our case, who are such people? Let's say if the Buddha asks us this question, I think this probably would be our family, yeah, our closest ones, our loved ones. Yeah. If they were to be executed, yeah, of course we would be extremely sad, yeah, not just sad. Our friends, yeah. And are there any people, yeah, that you can think of, if they were to be executed, you will not be as sad. Yeah, probably you will feel a little bit compassion or maybe sadness. Yeah. But the intensity is different. So who might that be? Probably in the news you will see some criminals getting jailed, getting fined, and occasionally you will see execution. But would you be as sad compared to if it's your own family? So this was the Buddha's question to Bhadraka the headman. So Bhadraka headman also replies, there are such people, yeah, who I would not be as sad if they were to be executed, imprisoned, or fined. And then the Buddha asks again the question to the headman, why that to some people you would be sad if they were to be executed, while others, some other people, you would not be as sad if they were to be executed. Let me highlight this. Okay, Sister Aikim, would you like to read next?
Those people in Uravela Kappa, Venerable Sir, in relation to whom sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair would arise in me if they were to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured. These are the ones for whom I have desire and attachment. But those people in Uruvela Kappa, in relation to whom they would not arise in me, these are the ones for whom I have no desire and attachment. Headman, by means of this principle that is seen, understood, immediately attained, Fathom applied the method to the past and to the future. Thus, whatever sufferings arose in the past, all that arose rooted in desire, with desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering. Whatever suffering will arise in the future, all that will arise rooted in desire, with desire as its source, for the desire is the root of suffering.
Okay, thank you, Sister Aikim. So here, Bhadraka the headman replied to the Buddha. This is the keyword here. These are the ones for whom I have desire and attachment. See the difference there? If you have desire and attachment to someone, if they were to be executed, of course it will be sadness, all these sufferings will arise in you. Then what about the other case? Then it is the opposite. These are the ones for whom I have no desire and attachment. For those strangers you read in the news, it's the first time you encounter them, you don't have desire and attachment to them. So that's why you feel differently. And then, based on Bhadraka's answer, then the Buddha concludes. Whatever suffering arose in the past, all that arose rooted in desire, with desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering. Let's highlight this. whatever suffering will arise in the future, all that will arise rooted in desire with desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering. Okay, Sister Billy, would you like to read the next paragraph?
It is wonderful, Venerable Sir. It is amazing, Venerable Sir, how well that has been stated by the Blessed One. Whatever suffering arises, all that is rooted in desire has desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering. Venerable Sir, I have a son named Chiravasi, who stays at an outside residence. I rise early and send a man, saying, "Go, man, and find out how Chiravasi is. Until the man returns, Venerable Sir, I'm upset, thinking, I hope Chiravasi has not met with any affliction." Shall I continue?
Yeah, yes, can continue.
Okay. What do you think, Headman, if Chiravasi were to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured? Would sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair arise in you? Venerable Sir, if Chiravasi were to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured, even my life would seem futile. So how could sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair not arise in me? In this way too, Headman, it can be understood. Whatever suffering arises, all that arises rooted in desire, with desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering.
Okay, thanks, Sister Billy.
Thank you.
Okay, this time, okay, let's take the footnotes number 10 first. Note that the headman here ascribes to the Buddha as a direct quotation, a general statement of the causal relationship between desire and suffering, not found in the Buddha's words above. The statement is, however, clearly needed as the reference of this principle, imina dhammena. It is thus possible that the statement was in the original text, but had dropped out in the course of its oral transmission. Just below, the Buddha does make the generalization himself. Okay. Okay, I think this footnotes, what it meant is this line, let's say, is the principle for which all the previous series of questions are derived. Yeah. So what is the difference between the one highlighted in blue and the one highlighted above, the one in red and in orange? The one in red still has a reference to the past, and the one in orange still has reference in the future. But the one in blue is the generalization of both the one in the past and the one in the future. Yeah. So from the blue, we can derive the red and the orange. So that's what it means by the generalization and the principle that is based on. The principle that this whole sutta is based on. So the blue one, the one highlighted in blue, is kind of like the summary of the sutta. And then the sutta continues with this Bhadraka, the headman. He has a son named Chiravasi. So like every day he wakes up and then see, go send someone to check out with check in how his son is doing. Actually, I think this is also pretty similar, even in the modern context. The parents are usually pretty worried about their kids. How are they doing? they sometimes call them like, I think I know a friend who called, who their parents call him every night, or call them every night. So the parents are always worried about the kids. So even back then in the Buddha's times, it's always the same. Go, man, find out how Chirapasi is. Let me know if he's doing well. And then this guy, the headman, would not rest content until that man returns. He's upset until he knows for sure that Chirapasi is safe, has not met with any affliction. So you can see the parallel here. And now the Buddha continues with the same example, but replace the general people with his own son, Chirapasi. If Chirapasi were to be executed, would you, he asked the headman, would you be sad? The headman replied, of course, even my life would seem futile. So how could suffering not arise in me? All this, how could sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair not arise in me? And then the Buddha concludes again. Whatever suffering arises, all that arises rooted in desire, with desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering. See. Okay, now the story continues again. This time the Buddha replaces the person with the headman's wife. What do you think, headman? Before you saw your wife or heard about her, did you have any desire, attachment, or affection for her? No, Venerable Sir. So before this headman met his wife, of course he had no desire and no attachment. He hasn't even met her. Then was it, headman, only when you saw her or heard about her that this desire, attachment, and affection arose in you? Yes, Venerable Sir. What do you think, headman? If your wife to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured, would sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair arise in you? Venerable Sir, this headman repeat the same statement, except that instead of his son, the person changed to his wife. If my wife were to be executed, imprisoned, fined, or censured, even my life would seem futile. So how could sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair not arise in me? This sutta concludes with the Buddha saying, in this way too, headman, it can be understood. Whatever suffering arises, all that arises rooted in desire, with desire as its source, for desire is the root of suffering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Taken from Samyutta Nikaya 4211. Any questions or comments? Is this relatable to you? Okay, see some nodding. For me, it's quite relatable as well. Sometimes when I have too much attachment, especially to the people around me, I can feel the suffering whenever they are away. There's one, and I can feel the, like the 8 worldly winds, the pull, the desire when they are around. So this is how the worldling works with desire and attachment. And not even people. I always give the example of, even our phone. If you realize your phone is missing, not in your pocket for 5 seconds, for me, I would already panic. Oh, where's my phone? Oh no, did I lost it? Did I leave it somewhere? Yeah, but usually it's more powerful if you refer this desire with regards to the people around you. So I think that's why the Buddha uses his son and his wife as example in this sutta. no question or comments, let's do a dedication. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，实是常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a desireless Wednesday ahead. Thanks everyone, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.